she didn't tell me that he didn't sign the checks. I only found out that later. Right? No, really. Right? And that guy's life becomes a misery after that. And if a poor girl is married into a rich home, they won't make her hear the end of it. Where you came from, you were nothing, you were living here, we brought you to the status, you got here, and she's made to feel like a beggar for the rest of her life. These are major issues. Nowadays, they got even more clever than that. Now the girl knows, no, I'm marrying this guy here because I married him out of love for him, out of lust for him, or this or whatever it is there. No problem. I'll get what I want of the marriage, I'll just have an ANC, anti-nuptial contract. And what is mine, and what is yours is yours. Perfectly fine. Sharia allows that. I got no issue with that. But I'm saying, remember, keep the text in context. You understand? Once children get into the mix out there, then maintenance becomes an issue. And then we have the issue of the anti-nup contract. Now, I had one issue this week, I can't remember when. This weekend, this people came. Last weekend, whatever it was. Girl drew up anti-contract. Why? The guy was a druggie. So she said, okay, you know what? In my marital contract, I want that if you go back to drugs there, then I must have the right to divorce you. Who the hell do you think you are? She's saying, but you know what? You have a history of drugs. No. The anti-nup contract has its advantages, but not when it's an unbalanced one. And in this day and age, in terms of this, I tell people, rather do an anti-nup, and the first thing you do is do tafweedul talaq, hand over the power of attorney to a third party. Why? So the guy won't abuse it, nor will the girl abuse it. So the girl doesn't live in that fear that he's going to pronounce the talaq at any time there and destroy the marriage. And the guy doesn't live in that fear there, that you know what, I may say it in a word of anger, I don't know the process of the divorce there, and I'll bang it 3 times and it's all over. Do that. But in terms of finances, unless you are free with each other's money, things are not going to work. You've got to be comfortable with each other and get over this fact here that, you know what, my wife earns more than me and my husband earns less than me, or vice versa, whatever it is. Have equity in your relationships. You know, just to use business parlance, a marriage can either be a hostile takeover, right? A marriage can either be a partnership, right? Or a marriage can be a silent partnership. Right? There's another one, I can't remember it right now. Merger. It can be a merger, or hostile takeover, or a partnership. More often than not, we end up with hostile takeovers and mergers. Mergers are not great either, because in a merger, the dominant company absorbs the other company in. Right? And you lose some of your independence and whatever it is, and that's eventually what happens. And then you get the hostile takeovers. Nowadays, most marriages, when they enter into the marriage, it starts off as a partnership, but eventually it becomes a hostile takeover. And these are things that finances you have to be very clear about. Then comes lifestyle choices. Oh, Allahu Akbar. Nowadays, I said this in Joburg that day, I said the people of Houghton want to be like the people of Santon, and the people of Santon want to be like the people of Houghton. And you can't afford the lifestyle. Why are you living it? People are living beyond their means. Why? To show off to other people. To maintain standards with your own clique of friends. You know what? You went through a bit of hard time there. Your one friend is still making big bucks. They're living a lifestyle that they're going to Dubai here and there. Now all of a sudden you go, oh, but you know what? You need to, I can't work 3 times over to maintain a lifestyle just for your sake of your friends. Can't do it. We can't go out and eat out every weekend. Can't afford it. And look at the lifestyle that we've chosen for ourselves today. We have doubled or tripled our expenses by virtue of the lifestyle choices we have made. Let me give you an idea. Nowadays you have to pay for schools. For a decent school, every Indian Muslim, or every Indian for that matter, sends his children to former Model C schools. So all of a sudden, if your parents were paying like 25 rand a year for you at Orient or Anjuman or one of these schools, nowadays you're paying a minimum of 25,000 a year for a single child. That's quadruple your expenses. 2, you used to get your children to walk from school. Now, parents ferry their children to school and ferry their children back from school. And then to madrasa and back from madrasa. Right? Then, I'm showing you just how we increase our expenses exponentially. Then is all the technology that we've included into our homes that we never had before. Then is all the insurance policies and medical aids that have now become mandatory. You never heard of medical aids before. Now all of a sudden everyone has medical aids. Right? The third thing is that insurance policies. Everyone needs short-term insurance, long-term insurance, life assurance, this assurance, right? All the holy faces out there become even holier and wealthier. You know holy face? Halifax. No? You understand? All of these expenses, you go ask your parents whether they paid for medical aid. Never heard of it. Whether they had 2 cars. Never heard of it. Whether they had 2 jobs. Never heard of it. Right? How long before they bought their own houses? And how they finance the houses. And the cost of financing your house and the cost of decorating your house nowadays. You know that? Lifestyle choices. Before, the best holiday you ever had was that if once in your life before you got married, you actually went to Joburg. And you went to Lens Neh. Right? Or you went to Laudium, you know, went to Pretoria. That was the biggest holiday you ever went to. And otherwise your holidays were your chachas and your chachis and your mamas and your mummies and your khalas and your khalis. You never went anywhere else. Now, if your children go or don't go for a local holiday once a year, right, minimum, and an international holiday once a year, it's like you've made zulm on them. You've made zulm on them. And who's creating this lifestyle? You and I are. Gym culture, coffee culture, spa culture, right? What we call weekend culture. You know the weekend culture? Right? Golf, this, that, movies, going out to those spots and whatever it is. Weekend culture. Who introduced all of those things? Can you imagine the cost that you've had to incur by virtue of all of these things? How old is the pizza phenomenon? Anybody knows? How long have you been eating pizzas? You work it out? 20 years? 25 years. Before 25 years, what you were eating? Curry and rice. Potato curry and rice. Chicken curry and rice. That's what you were eating. Pizza is a new phenomenon. Pizza is a new phenomenon. All of a sudden, the Muslims can't survive without pizza. No, really, I'm just giving you an idea. Lifestyle choices. People don't want to live in their parents' homes anymore. In Chatsworth. I tell people, you are idiots. Go to Chatsworth, go to one of these areas, you know what, Amstatuzana, Chatsworth and all of these areas, buy a house for about 200,000 rand, spend another 800,000 rand doing that house up like a mansion, right? It will still cost you 1 million rand, you'll have a big property there and whatever. No, but the area is not right. So I'd rather pay for a dingy 100 square meter 2-bedroom, what do you call this thing? Semi-detached thing, like in Chatsworth, but I'll pay for it in Wild Honey or in the Moors in Sherwood and pay 3 million for it, right? Because Chatsworth is not good enough. Don't blame me, I was born in Westville. Suisa built in 1904. I came here way before everybody else, right? Plus I got a free house thrown in because I work here. Right? Really? You have to come to Westville. And you're investing in that house. For the amount of money that you buy for a dingy, like a tool, in here or Musgrave or whatever, you'll buy one, mansion there, or you buy a property and it will still cost you, see. But will people think like that? No. Why? It's below your dignity to stay in Chatsworth now. Besides the fact that your whole family is brought up middle class, now if you stay in Sherwood, you don't want to know the people from Chatsworth anymore. These are our lifestyle choices. The next one is unemployment, and I discussed it already, so I'm not going to go into too much of discussion on unemployment. Unemployment is one of the major causes of homes breaking. Because people don't realize that we are in it together. And there's a major problem, that some people genuinely find themselves in a problem because of unemployment, but then they go lazy. Really, I've seen people being bitten by the unemployment bug. And what is that? Apathy, laziness. They become too comfortable at home, they can't get off their behinds and find something to do. And if they are comfortable that, oh yes, no, my wife can handle that, we will make do this one, they're quite happy with that. Mediocrity is the second name. Not realizing they have a responsibility towards their families, and most importantly, you have a duty towards Allah and you are accountable to Allah. Do something. Go buddy, cut grass, you'll make money. Cut grass and you'll make money. Go chop wood, you'll make money. But people don't want to do that. They rather sit. They rather sit. And it's become a major issue. And it has to be dealt with by, as a family unit, to say, look here, we will take a cut in terms of our lifestyle right now. Right? We'll tighten our belts. But let's find a job. It gives a man a sense of satisfaction and some feeling of things. And also at the same time, it's providing something to the house. And eventually it becomes too difficult for the woman to manage it. And people don't realize this. And they expect you to be hunky-dory and everything about it. Well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm trying. How? I gave my CV out to 10, 20 places. They didn't accept, well, is that my fault? So, and what's stopping you from doing a menial job? Oh, I was earning 20 grand. Now you're going to earn 7 grand. Duh. Better than nothing. Better than nothing. It's the apathy bug. You get the idea. And at that time, families don't rally around anymore as they used to. We don't have the time and we don't have the heart nowadays, right, to be there for other members of our family. You're going to ask a family member for a loan now? That's the question. That's the question. We can't help you, sorry. The next one comes debt. Oh, Allah Akbar. If we were clever, we would take all our cars and we would cut it up. We would cut it up. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Finished. And people, because they want to live up to other people's expectations, they get into a spiraling debt. And eventually, they're stealing from Peter to pay Paul, etc., etc., etc. And then they're skimping on their children's educations, right, on the medical aids, and on essential matters. Right? And they give into these other issues out there that become, and khalas, it's all over. Marriages break because of these things. And I know of people who have put other people, their wives, into debt. By putting things on their name or whatever it is there, and then they become blacklisted, and it goes on and on and on forever. Really. Really. You've got to keep your debt and manage your debt and keep it to the bare minimum. And you know what? If it means you're making tough decisions, make the tough decision. As witnesses to Allah, no, I'll do without it. I'll wear the same outfit for 2 months, but I'm not going to take it on credit and carry on paying and whatever it is. Because what is it nowadays? 29%? What do you pay on a credit card? 27%? What is it? Any idea? Huh? About 25%. About 25%. 25%! Ya Allah! It's ridiculous. Okay, the last one, economic exploitation. What do I mean by economic exploitation? This is where you get the chances. When the husband will engage in fraudulent activity, put things onto his wife's name, onto his children's name, open up accounts, get loans from banks. 1. 2, gambling falls into the same category. 3, the man will pawn his wife's jewelry, his children's, he'll scupper the children's education fund or whatever it is there, right, to feed a habit, drug addiction, pornography addiction, or whatever it is, or for that matter, the preoccupation with cars, preoccupation with, like toys and games and holidays and whatever it is out there. Then the other form of exploitation is when, because the father knows that his daughter is in a difficult situation, the guy takes advantage of the father-in-law, right? Takes the money, exploits them, puts them under pressure. Right? Otherwise, I'll divorce your wife, I'll divorce your daughter, and I'll send her back home, and this and that. So to keep the marriage going inside, everyone is being blackmailed by this chap in one form or the other. Hi. You know the number of women who've had to come to a rude awakening to realize that, my husband put this company into my name, and all of a sudden I'm liable for 5 million rand. And the poor woman, I just signed. You know how many sons-in-laws have taken their in-laws for a ride? Do you know how many sons and daughters have exploited their mothers and their fathers by signing them off on insurance policies that they don't even know about? And they invest in their mother-in-law, really, and their mothers and their fathers, to say, my father is expecting a heart attack in the next 6 months or a year. He should have a heart attack. Let's pull out on policy now, because if he, if he gets a heart attack, then they get a payout or something of R1 million, and so on, and I'll cash in. And if my father dies, I'll pull out a policy of 4 million rand. It's worthwhile investing it because when I die, I'll pick up a 4 million rand policy. What? Think it's a joke? These are harsh realities of the world. I remember a situation when someone told me very clearly, I told somebody that I know very clearly, my dear, there is a, like example, a 2 million rand policy out on it, but remember only your brothers are going to be receiving that share of the insurance policy. You're not going to get anything out of it. I'm just informing you about it so that you know about it. Why? Well, the reason is we were paying for the insurance policy. So we cash in. Who you cash on? On your mother's death. On your mother's death. On your father's death. The other form of exploitation is wherein, in inheritance, the wife receives her share, or the husband receives the share, and he sits with his sister's shares and his family's share, or they take away his share and whatever it is, and these people who should have got a right and a haq in that entire property never end up getting anything, and they end up suffering all their lives there, and a handful of people take away the thing. And if the wife fights for her husband's right and for her husband's haq, or vice versa, the husband fights for the, oh no, he just wants to nail the money from them, that's why he's fighting for it. Or, see, she's such a BI, this and that and da. See, she's just dying for the money. What are you dying for the money? So why not giving it? Do you know how many situations I've had wherein a daughter is expecting, I did so much for my father, for my family, and it is my right in terms of inheritance to earn, to get that amount of money. And someone shot it, the brother shot it, or someone shot it, the auntie shot it, or the mother shot it, right? And these people end up for the rest of their lives there, battling because they didn't get the haq. This is economic exploitation. How many of you are not married here? See, I'm just pushing a disclaimer right now. In no way should this discussion of mine in any way, what's the word? Deter you from getting married. It's a marriage, it's a mistake, everybody should. And pay for the rest of your life to rectify that mistake. And let me tell you something, it's only worth it in the afterlife. Invest now, you're only going to get paid there. My wife was telling me the other day, even generally you have some who, but that's the sad story. Unfortunately, I know the story, you see. The wife ends up being the smartest, smarter than all the other who's. I said, come on, Allah's sense of humor too, You understand? So, that's it. Show me a marriage that is smooth, and I will tell you there's something wrong with it. It's not part of the divine plan for any marriage to go smoothly. It's not. Had it been the case, the Prophet of Allah ﷺ would not have had so many challenges in marriage. And marriage is there to improve your character. Marriage is there to test the metal of your character. Marriage is there to make you hopefully better. That's why the Prophet of Allah said, right? إذا تزوج العبد فقد استكمل نصف الدين فليتق الله في النصف الباقي أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. When a servant of Allah enters into marriage, then he or she fulfills half his or her deen. And then فليتق الله في النصف الباقي, and then become conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of the other half. What does this mean? Marriage itself will cover half of the requirements and the responsibilities of your deen. You're fulfilling half of it. That's what it takes. Okay? And if you have 2 wives, it doesn't mean that you've perfected it. Or 2 husbands for that matter. Now after one passed away, it doesn't work like that. Allah gives tawfiq hidayah inshallah. I took a little extra long today, but I wanted to complete it. We're back to Gog and Magog next week. Right? So you can go back to the things that happen in the future, not what's happening right now in your life, inshallah. Allah bismillah ar-Rahman alhamdulillah bil alamin salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah shafii al-anbiya wal mursalin sayyidina wa nabiyyina wa habibina wa shafi'ina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma allimni ma yanfa'uni wa anfa'ni bima 'allamtani wa zidni ilma. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wa anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa zidna ilma. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Any questions? You can have your tea, coffees and all of those hugs in a mug and so on.